What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. We finally got our entire Bronco lift kit and other parts back from the sandblaster. It took a little bit of extra time with the holidays because they weren't really working. Can't have those 2 holidays on Wednesdays because those 2 weeks it's just not working. But we got everything back. We got the front springs separated from the rear springs because they are different part numbers. All the other skid plates and stuff. And we already got this hanging in here. Here is the whole gas tank skid plate for the Bronco as well. Hey, it's the moment we've all been waiting for the longest time, and it's time to start. I got 8 pounds of Illusion Spanish Fly, whole bunch of more Columbia Coatings HD clear coat. We should be good to go, and this thing is gonna look so sharp here shortly. I can't wait to get it on the Bronco. This is about to be nuts. Well, there you have it. Ashley and I both are considering retiring from powder coating after this one, because that was a ton of work. Illusion Spanish Fly topped off with Columbia coatings, HD clear. Oh, this looks amazing. Deep rich gloss. Look at that Illusion Spanish Fly underneath. Everything turned out uniform. Oh, it looks good. My favorite is this gas tank skid plate back here. Push it out in the light for us. Oh, check that thing out. That's crazy. Considering that's going to be like the whole underside of the Bronco, because it is a two-door and so small, that's going to be a huge, huge piece. I'm so glad I did that. We still have the springs separated here. The front springs, those look fantastic. Obviously, you guys already saw the knuckles. Skid plates are shining. When you're not in the light, it's kind of dark, but obviously when it hits the light just right, that thing shines. Obviously the diff cover, it looks great on the other side. Oh, that looks so good. Everything turned out fantastic. Oh wait, we got the little springs over here. Everything turned out fantastic. So thankful for that. Did not want to go through this again. That's for sure. We ended up using about 7 pounds of Illusion Spanish Fly. It didn't go on the thickest, but it turned out great. And then we only used about 4 or 5 pounds of clear. I ordered extra, but I didn't even need to use it. And I have some left over from last time. So not too bad. Oh, that track bar bracket back there looks fantastic. Now I'm so excited to put this thing on. Today is finally the day this thing is getting lifted. Take your last look at it with all the stock stuff on there. We also just got a big shipment, big delivery from Rough Country for a bunch of stuff for this too. That's going on soon. But take your last look at it with no Illusion Spanish Fly underneath here and the stock suspension, because all this is changing here very, very shortly. Obviously it's still dusty and oh man, it looks so plain. I just can't believe what we're about to see here in a second. That's a lot of color off this purple. Underneath, like everything's getting replaced, front and back, literally except the lower control arms. This is going to be a lot of golden yellow underneath here, where obviously we're adding the sway bar back here, that big track bar drop on that side. This is going to be sweet. If you guys don't know already, this is going to be a Belltech 4.5 to 7.5 inch lift kit. We're gonna set it at 7.5 inches. Obviously they don't make a bigger lift kit right now unless you like do some custom and straight axle swap and all that, but this is the biggest lift kit you can get right now. Obviously we're adding these coilovers. Those gold springs on there are going to look sharp off the gold anodized. I'm so excited. This thing's going to be big. It's going to be crazy, and it's finally time to lift it. It's been years in the making, literally years, but we're here now. So I think we're going to start on the back, take care of all that, because then we can put the gas tank in and work our way forward. I'm also waiting on new sway bar bushings. Those should be here soon, hopefully. But we'll start with the back, work our way forward. We should be able to complete all of it today. We'll also put that gas tank back in, connect all that, the skid plate underneath there. There's gonna be a lot of color on here very shortly, and I'm so excited. It's gonna pop so hard off this purple. This is really gonna be amazing. So it's finally time to dig into this lift kit. One of the reasons, like I said, that skid plate is going to look so good, but you have to drop the gas tank to install this lift. The control arms on the passenger side you can't reach without dropping the gas tank lower than the bolt holes. They're literally hidden behind it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So that's kind of almost one of the first steps in this process. However, the second step in this process, and what we're going to do now, is we're going to remove the track bar, and then we're going to remove the struts. We'll be able to bring those down. You also got to drop this muffler here because the track bar bracket is going to surround this. But I'm thinking about doing something special with that muffler back there, so we might just remove it completely and reinstall it at a later date. 24mm on the track bar, 15mm on the upper strut, and 27, I think, millimeter on the bottom of the strut here, and it'll all come apart. So let's get to it. guys, you wouldn't believe it, but another hold up literally immediately. I just, every time I try to do something on this Bronco, it just holds me up. I really don't get it at this point. I try so hard, and then every time something stops me. But look at that beautiful track bar bracket in there. That thing's huge. It literally drops all the way from the frame down below the axle. I wonder how much this thing's actually going to drop. This thing might sit significantly higher than I thought with the way this is looking right now. That axle's pretty low. I don't know if that's full droop, but I have no idea. That's really low compared to the front, and I think it might even go lower when we get that strut in there. But there's a track bar bracket. It goes over the frame. There's little clamp kind of brackets on the back, so it holds it tight. Everything's still loose because we got to put track bar in there, and then we also got the little brake line extension going on down there. I really enjoy this color. It looks good off the purple. Once it's all, you know, dust free, washed, cleaned up, wheels on it, the rest of the suspension's on it, this thing's gonna be, shoo, it's gonna be crazy. Other than that, let me get into where our holdup is. So the first piece we were trying to put on is obviously the track bar. Put in the track bar bracket, tighten it all down. Well, what happens here, obviously these threads in here, but once we get this going, we got a little bit extra play now, but once you get to about, let's see, here, it stops like hard. Like I can't twist this. We had a wrench on there. We were beating it with a hammer, trying to loosen it. We tried to tighten it, crank it in there. It's just not good. What happens is on these, especially here, like the powder coat, usually you would block these threads off, but honestly I've never had this issue before, because even with this just little bit of powder in there, wish you could see a little better, but there's just a little bit on these outer threads here. Usually there's enough clearance and enough play in these threads that this fits in here kind of loose actually, but that's not the case this time for some reason. So that little bit of powder coat or the threads inside is just not letting us screw this in. And it's taking an excessive amount of force to do so. And worst part is, not only this Heim joint, but these Johnny joints do not screw into those arms easily at all either. Like I said, most of the time I've done plenty of kits that have had arms like this, and each time I did it the same exact way. A little bit of powder coat in the threads, tightened it down, called it a day. But I guess today that's not happening. I had to go out, order a tap. It'll be here in 2 days. Yeah, that's a big tap. I asked around, can't find it. Nothing in stock. That's an 1.25" by 12 thread tap. The thing's huge. I ordered one, and we're gonna tap all those threads, and then everything should screw in. A lot easier. However, unfortunately, all these beautiful parts hanging here, and literally the first things we need to install, that bar and all these control arms, and they all require screwing in joints. So guess we're waiting 2 days for a tap, and we'll come back, tap these threads, and install everything. Like I said, I don't get it at this point. Everything's just this extended, every problem on this Bronco is just like a little bit of an extended delay, and it's just driving me nuts at this point. But we got one coming. We'll solve this problem, put the joints in, and then we'll get the rest of this lift on. The front, I shouldn't even say this right now, but the front was probably the choice I should have started with, because we probably could have completed it. But we spent probably a good 40 minutes trying to screw that in, and then realizing when it got stuck, excessive force trying to get that out. So nothing else we can really do until we get that tap, so we can put all these arms on, because that's the whole rear suspension. The struts and coilovers go in last, so all of our immediate steps in this process, null and void. So we'll pick that tap up in 2 days, and then we'll get back to it. Okay guys, as you can see, I picked up an 1.25 inch. Yes, this thing is huge. 1.25" 12 tap. This is the right thread pitch. I already got it screwed in there a little bit. I don't really have anything to grab onto that end, so I'm probably going to use a wrench and crank her down, get these threads cleaned out. Just putting it in there a little bit, it was already pushing some powder coat out, so this should be the solution. We got to do not only this, but the other arms on the rack. Let's get these all cleaned out, and then we can now finally get to the back. Wow, all right guys, take a look at that. We got that giant track bar in there, the giant track bar bracket. This looks so good off the purple. I'm getting more and more excited. That was very painful and a lot of extra time that I just was not anticipating. But here we are. It's now time to do the arms and get those coilovers put back together and on the Bronco here. This took a lot. I ended up putting these bushings in the freezer overnight, cleared out the powder coat out of there. Those slid right in. The first one gave us some trouble. And then I just went ahead and put the ball joints back in the upper control arms because I didn't want to use the press anymore. I was done with it. I didn't want to deal with it anymore, and that was it. So everything that needs pressed has been pressed. These upper bushings up there are just the poly, so we can grease them up, put them in by hand, which is no issue. That means everything else here is pretty much ready to go on, and it's now time for that. We're actually going to jump right into putting these arms on. There's specific measurements in the instructions. We're going to measure these out. This kit really didn't come with physical instructions. It's all online, so I got to consistently look up and check out all the measurements and stuff, but check those out in there and start swapping them out one by one. I think once we switch that out, that's gonna look amazing back here. Also, I just found out, because we got to put the sway bar on, it actually goes into one of the gas tank skid plate bolts, so that might be the last thing we put on back here. The sway bar on this goes in front of the axle, so we're gonna have a lot of this Spanish fly back here and up front. It's gonna look exotic back here, which is gonna be sweet. So let's measure these things out to the proper length and get them on the Bronco. Figure out how to tighten those jam nuts. Okay, so we took apart the OEM strut like 100%. We're going to take it apart more here. We need this to go on the new Belltech coilovers. We actually have to modify this a little bit with this here. Gives us an angle, so when we mount it, it tips it down a little bit so the angle at the bottom isn't so abrupt. What we're going to do here, it's this pin and these two studs. We're going to knock them out right here. We're going to use an air hammer. You can use a vise too. But knock that out, and then this can go on after that pin's out with our new studs. Okay, now this is the rear coilover. It's actually adjustable from 3 inches to 6.5 inches of lift, and the front goes from 4.5 to 7.5. So obviously if we crank it up, it should be just level. I guess if we crank them both up fully, 6.5 rear, 7.5 inch front, it should be pretty level. So this right here, this bottom plate to the center of this needs to be 12 inches. That'll give us our 6.5 inches of lift in the rear. This is what goes there for that spring, and then these right here, because we're going all the way up, we need all 3 of these. They call them packers, which is I guess really just an internal bump stop extension, but we need all 3 of these to go underneath with those sides down. They also made it like a point to say make sure this is here, otherwise your shock may fail for some reason. It's like a venting situation. Put all 3 of these in here because we're going max on this. Now we're going to load our bottom spring. We're going to take this off, center this to that. Allen key, you're going to want to sit there. Once you got it set, tighten that screw back down. It'll hold your collar in place. Just like that. It does not spin anymore. We're going to take one of our like preload springs here and put it on. Okay, so now we got the rear main spring here, and we're gonna put this on. Man, this looks too good already. Actually, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna pause. Getting a little ahead of ourselves. A little too excited. Don't forget this. Man, that looks really good. Wow. All right, the only things that are left is our new, not the OEM one, but our new little top hat spacer, and then our top. Now, we gotta compress this somehow enough to get our nut on. So that's what we're gonna do here. I guess you could also probably use your spanner wrench that came with the kit and do this after the fact, but cranking on coils is not fun, so I would rather just compress it tight. Okay, so it's fully assembled. I honestly pushed down on it and Ashley went and threw the nut on for me, and then we were able to just tighten it from there. That's what we did, and now it's time to throw it in and repeat on the other side. The angled part, thin part, just goes forward. I aligned that stud up perfectly with the center of this, so it'll mount right in there and shoot right down the axle, aligned perfectly. So let's throw it in. Okay guys, so there it is on its own weight. I had to put it on its own weight because all the arms and stuff need tightened when it's on its own weight. This thing is sitting very big. This thing is crazy, and I'm actually really thrilled about how nice it sits. We are dealing with one issue at the moment though. I don't know, probably because it's a two-door thing and the drive shaft is so stubby. We're almost hitting the little drive shaft tunnel in there, like almost, not fully, but almost. So I'm just trying to see here what we got going on. Probably gonna do some research tonight, see what it is. I don't think our pinion angle's off. It looks really nice. But obviously the drive shaft, because it's so short, we're getting real close in there. If I got the camera in there, there's light between it, but I mean, it's close. Obviously this is a 2- and 4-door kit, and the 2-door, I mean, I may have to crank it down a little bit because it is so light compared to a 4-door. Because I mean, right now with the tires we're putting on it, this thing is going to sit even 5 inches higher. So I mean, we'll be like, it'll be up here, which is crazy. So I think I'm gonna go do some research, see what people have done in this instance. Thing might just be a little bit too light for that much crank on the coilovers, which would make sense, because if we dropped it down a bit and then picked it up and put the tires on it and it sat here, that would be pretty cool. So other than that, the whole suspension is on, everything's tight except the control arms and the bottom of the struts. Man, that looks so good, so good. I still have to put the sway bar on, which goes in front of the axle as well, but we got to put the gas tank in because it uses one of the bolts to do that. Right up in this area here, so that's going to look sweet. We're going to figure that out. We're going to do some measurements, but for now, the rear is together, and man, that looks sharp. All right, guys, so it's the next morning here. Our control arm angles are a little bit off. It should be about 9 and 15, and we're at like 19 and like 14. So I'm gonna mess with the upper arms here a little bit, try and get everything situated, get the angles right, check the drive shaft out, and then if that's the case, I've got about a 1/2 inch of drop in here before I have to take it apart and take some of the bump stops out. I may drop this down, adjust the arms, and we might be good on the drive shaft. I mean, we're clearing right now, but any big dips or flexes will definitely hit that drive shaft on the tunnel there. So I know this worked on a two-door Bronco they had at SEMA. They had it on 42s, so I know that it'll work. I just need to do some adjustments, and I think we'll be able to get all of it straightened out. So we're gonna mess with that, and probably get the diff cover on before we even start messing with the front. Also got to throw this gas tank in. Okay guys, so yesterday I went through and I actually brought this lift down. That's what you saw me do. I cranked this down from 6.5, and the rear sits probably about 4.75, 5 inches of lift now. Brought that down. The drive shaft angle is significantly better, especially at ride height with no other adjustments. Right in here, we clear that drive shaft tunnel nice and easy now. It's not hanging out on the bottom. Up there at the top, however, I still don't like how angled that is. So I'm going to come underneath here and do a few adjustments to the upper arms, bring this angle up a bit, and it'll help us out at the top of that drive shaft as well. So I'm going to adjust this pinion angle a little bit. Then I could come in here and finally tighten all this. Put those small brackets on we powder coated the other day, and we can throw the gas tank back in here. I came up with those measurements because Rough Country, actually, they offer a 5-inch lift, and a lot of people have put 5-inch lifts on their two-door Bronco. I gave them a call. They told me their rear spacer was like 4.6 something, almost 4.7, so almost 4.75. And people put those on this all day long. They drive them. They have a whole bunch of them in their actual like Rough Country gallery as well. So I went with those kind of measurements for the rear. I know people do it, and it's been on you know, on the road. With it being a two-door and the wheelbase is so short, that drive shaft angle is a lot more restrictive than, you know, if this was a four-door. So we're working with what we physically possibly can. They actually do make one upgraded drive shaft for this that turns the lower end into a U-joint, but again, that's not our issue. It's up at the top, so this is all crazy. Let me get underneath there. I'm going to adjust this pinion angle a little bit, and get all that tightened up, and work our way towards the front. I'm not even. I don't even know. Oh my god. It's two things. Up. Perfect. Thank you. Alright guys, I'm convinced this thing just does not want to be completed. We ran into another issue with the rear sway bar. Other than that, this thing is all done and tight in the back, everything. Oh man, it looks good. Underneath here, that gas tank skid plate looks so sharp. Looks clean. Man, that looks good. But we're about to put the sway bar on here, and look at this. Just something, yeah, that's not right. So something's wrong here, not only there, but this rear sway bar here, like even just holding it on there, it's not the right size whatsoever. So even tightened down, it's just gonna slop around in there. So I'm gonna call Belltech and get that figured out, but that's good news though, because the whole back is done. The sway bar was the last piece. The gas tank had to go in first. Whole gas tank's put back together. The rear diff is full. If you guys like that trick, it's just a hole in the back of a jug. I wish I had a firmer jug, but you fill it up with pretty much air, and then wherever it went, it just pumps it right out of the jug. Out of the jug, through the tube, and in the diff, and you don't gotta dump anything or run funnels. It'll sit there forever. It moves that thick fluid very fast for you. So that's a good tip if you guys want to, do that. But the rest of this looks fantastic. I mean, I'm very thrilled it's done, but more so, look at that. That's sweet. I'm gonna call Belltech, figure that out, see what we need to do to make that sway bar work. And other than that, the whole back is done. The gas tank's back in, so that means in the morning we could come in and finally lift the front. Everything gets replaced, and we also got new sway bar bushings for that, so everything's ready to go back in. So the front should be done tomorrow, and then we should just be waiting on the rear sway bar. But I swear, one thing after another with this Bronco build, I swear. But we're still attacking it, and hopefully we can knock the rest of this out tomorrow. Okay, so it's the next day here. I just got off the phone with Belltech. I got all the right stuff ordered. That was actually all the wrong stuff. So I got all the right stuff for this kit coming, and it's now time to do what we can on the front. We gotta take the upper control arms off, the knuckle, everything's coming off. We got like a 36 mil here, 18 on the bottom, 15 on the top. Whole control arm is gonna come out. We're gonna drop the diff, make some modifications to the frame, diff, and steering rack. this should be exciting. So let's dig in. Okay, so we got the whole other side torn apart, literally down to only the CV shaft and the tie rod. We're going to repeat on this side, and we can start making our cross member and whatever else cuts so we can get this diff out. Okay, so we got the whole suspension taken off. Now we got to get this upper control arm out because obviously we are swapping those out. This bolt here is going to hit our steering shaft, so we need to disconnect this joint right here. Pop that off. We're going to mark it, make sure everything's the same so it'll go back on the same. But we got to pop that off on the driver's side so we can get this big long bolt out and our new control arm in. Okay, so when the diff drops, this little tab on the end of this steering rack here, this little just aluminum tab, is going to be in the way. So you need to shave this flat to contour this like screw tunnel here. But so we're going to knock this off, and then we also have to make a modification on this side of the diff for when that drops as well. But we're going to knock that off, and then we should be able to get this thing dropped. Alright guys, this is where we left off. We got the cross members in. This upper bracket here, and the frame's all cut, and it all fits in there nice. Shave the side of the diff. That bracket up there is super crazy. It really tugs it this way. What I need to do now before I tighten anything else, because otherwise this whole front end will like fight with me to go back together. I gotta throw the lower control arms in, make sure the width of them are straight. If not, I gotta loosen up. I tightened 2 of the brackets by mistake on Friday. I gotta go in there, make sure the control arms fit in there, and then I'm gonna put the struts together so those can hang. And then we'll throw in the upper control arms and we can get those knuckles in there and all the wheel bearings swapped over. So we're gonna continue putting this front end together. The rear end stuff should be here this week for the sway bar and all that. So we should be able to really tidy this thing up here shortly. We have a bunch of stuff from Rough Country, like I said, that also has to go on, that we can't really put some things on of this Belltech kit before we do that, but we're gonna do that at a different time because some of those things need painted and powder coated, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So I guess for now, we're gonna finish this front end, make sure everything fits, put everything back together, leave everything loose so it's easy to go back together. I also got wheel spacers coming because this thing needs to go back on the ground on these tires because it's gonna have to get aligned on those. But those wheel spacers should be here and we can get this thing off of jack stands very, very soon. Okay, so we got the upper control arms in. As you can see, lowers are in, looking good. We're about to put the struts together, but this has been a problem the whole time, and I don't understand this. We've been trying to get the ABS wires out of the original knuckles since, like, taking this thing apart. Look at this. Look at all the force we're putting on this stupid thing. I'm yanking on that. Ashley's prying on it. Yeah, that's not coming out. It's so weird. It doesn't make any sense. Yes, the bolts out of it and all that, but these both sides, not just this one, both of them are that stuck in there. It's crazy. I might have to go through and just get 2 brand new ABS wires for this because they're literally stuck in the knuckle. I can't believe that.
Oh my god, it's about to break. There's no way. Oh. Did I get something? Or is it just pulling this up?
Oh my god, you're just pulling. You took the bracket. Oh my gosh.
Are you kidding me?
You literally took the bracket off the wire. That's how stuck it is. What the heck? This thing's like brand new, has 1,600 miles on it. The ABS wires are stuck in the knuckles. I'm gonna have to get 2 new ones, but I'm so confused. Like, is it because it wasn't driven? But I don't think that's the case. It's just, I just don't get it. Literally, the bracket broke off of the wire, and the wire is still stuck along with the rest of the casing. Look at that. That's... I have never seen that before.
Because that little circle's been out the whole time.
Yeah. I don't get it.
Is there supposed to be like a special way that it comes out that you don't just pull, but it's like...
Yeah, it's making me think there's a special way or a special tool. I've never seen that before.
Sponge. It's a Ford product, that's the problem.
Literally. Okay, so I think I'm gonna have to go buy 2 new ABS wires because those are just stuck in the knuckle. Luckily, we can get the wheel bearing off the knuckle and leave the ABS wire in the knuckle. Also, this knuckle is hollow. This is so weird. Obviously the Belltech knuckle isn't, but this whole knuckle is hollow. From there all the way up here, it's hollow. Like, I can't believe the amount of things they're just cutting out of these new vehicles, including the steel. This is getting out of hand. But luckily we can get that wheel bearing off and just throw the whole thing out because it's no good anymore. Okay, so now we're gonna put the front coilovers together. Because we had to do the whole thing with the rear, I can't set the front at 7.5 and the rear at like 4.75. We have a really big toot to that. So I think I'm aiming for, I mean 6.75 would be good, like a 2-inch difference, but I kind of want to aim for 6.5 so it's not like, just in case the nose is a little up. And I didn't want to set it at like 6 because that might be a little too short for the width of wheels we got going on here. So I'm going to set it at like 6.5 inches of lift. Obviously if we need to, we can take it apart and jack it up some more. I think 6.5 should be good. That is going to be 2 of these spacers, and then this is going to set, I believe it's about 11, almost like 11.6 if I remember the instructions correctly. But we'll get that set. And this all set. Bump stop extensions in here. On the front, you have the option up to 4, and on the back you have 3 thicker ones. But there's that, and then we'll just measure this up, get it set, and get the coils on. Okay, so we got almost everything tightened up here. We're going through the last couple steps of putting the front drive shaft on, and then we're going to connect the sway bar here in a second. And I went to go put the extended bolts in they sent with the kit. And looks all fine and dandy, except this factory bolt here is a metric 1. I believe it's an M7, M8, or M9 by 1 thread pitch. And this is just so far off. I mean, so again, another thing stopping us, but that's okay. We'll find some new Allen heads tomorrow. I'll take both these. I'll take both these probably to Tractor Supply, honestly, and find the correct one at the correct length. That's another letdown, but it's all right. I've had this kit for years, and it's probably one of the first ones sent out, so I'm not blaming anybody here. Other than that, we're gonna throw the sway bar drops on, get those connected, and she'll be pretty much as buttoned up as she can be for right now. So let's get that done real quick. One more thing before we put the sway bar back on. It took me a while. I think Ashley actually found these. This is the part number for the sway bar bushings if you have a non-automatic sway bar. I kept going through the whole parts I guess catalog trying to find it, and it was like missing on when I was trying to look it up. But we found it. Here it is. Guys, well there you have it. Belltech's 4.5 to 7.5 inch lift kit. This thing, I mean, that that hub is sitting pretty low there. Gonna compress a lot. I can't wait to see this on the ground. I can't actually put it on the ground right now because I need wheel spacers to clear, I believe, the knuckle. I hope it's the knuckle and not this tie rod. Also, this tie rod isn't even attached because we are upgrading the steering in the next video. Right now, I'm gonna go grab one of the 24s, the Liberty Forge 24s, and we're going to put it on here and we're going to get the full effect. It's been so long, I need to see it with the wheel on it, and unfortunately we won't have two on it. Very soon we'll get the tires. I also need to put this on the ground to see what size tires will fit now that the lift isn't, you know, full crank because of that rear drive shaft. I just got to see what's going to fit, and then we'll get those coming. But other than that, there it is, all done. Also, we had a little trouble. The bolts that came with the drive shaft spacer were not the same thread. So I was telling you guys about that. We're just gonna go pick some up, and the front drive shaft isn't even attached right now. So we're gonna figure that out. It really doesn't even need the spacer, which is confusing, but I mean, it does definitely suck out, or I mean, suck in a lot with the spacer, and is kind of pulled out without it. So I will definitely put the spacer in there. I just need correct thread, longer bolts. Everything else looks so good. We got the KSP upper control arms, obviously the Belltech lift. Down here, you saw us install the JKS lower control arm skid plates. That looks incredible. I also need to install the other Belltech skid plates, but you'll see why I can't install those just yet. I need to install the upper skid plate, but obviously you can see this intercooler is kind of just dangling because the tow hooks are off, and we're doing something with that in the next video as well. So once that goes back in, we'll be able to put both skid plates on and button all of that up. I guess, oh yeah, there's one more thing. The rear sway bar, I got those parts ordered, the bushings and the brackets, so hopefully those are the right size now, and we can throw the rear sway bar on. We just have the end links dangling there waiting to be installed. This is like the first Bronco I've lifted. Very interesting situation going on here. Not too bad once you get the hang of it. I also think that the powder coat and treating it all nicely and all that adds a lot of time. So other than that, this kit looks so good. It's super beefy. Everyone that's come in here and looked at it, it says this is one of the beefiest kit they've seen, and it really is. Those bars are huge. Bracket is beefy. Everything is just super sturdy and very high quality. Years in the making, but I am ready to put a wheel on. We'll get the full effect. We'll see this thing, the lift, the purple, the Illusion Spanish Fly, and we'll see it all together here in a second. Guys, check that thing out on there. I know I've put it on here when it was stock, but a completely different animal when it's on here lifted and painted and all that. Man, that thing looks so good. This thing has been an adventure, that's for sure. Man, that thing's gonna be crazy. Look at that. Oh my gosh. And obviously they're just kind of sitting on the stud. Wheel isn't straight up and down, but there's a rough representation of where we'll be sitting. Those things are huge. Just, that's huge, the lift's huge. I don't know what I did here. Now, I'm very interested to see how this thing, like, I guess, compresses as it comes down. Jacking it up just this little bit, didn't compress much. I'm hoping gravity will, you know, set it back down, get everything in there, because obviously we set these coilovers to a little bit bigger than the front just to give us a little bit of a actual like level stance, not body line level, but the whole thing is level. And should give us enough to be able to clear this. We are going to remove these in the next video as well. Got to get those out just for extra clearance. Don't even want to worry about it. And then I'll give you guys one more good look at the rear here, all put back together. Can't forget it either. Look at that skid plate, the whole gas tank. There's the front with the wheel. I'm definitely exhausted. However, this thing's gonna look so freaking good. I can't wait to get the tires and everything else on. Now that the lift's done and the sandblasting and the weighting and the pushing the bushings and taking apart the control arms and this, that, and the other, all that's done. Obviously, you guys saw us powder coat this Illusion Spanish Fly in this video as well. But now that all that's done, like I said, we've got a bunch of stuff from Rough Country we gotta spice this Bronco up with. After we throw those on, I'm gonna get the hood, the bumper painted. We got something special for from Oracle that's gonna go in our grill. We can re-clear that, put that on, and then I'm gonna come through. We're gonna shoot this hard top, put that on, and then this whole exterior should be done. I just need tail lights and I can put that little corner piece in. Yeah, we are almost there. All right, guys. Well, that's gonna do it for today's video. I think we want this thing done more than you guys do, and I know you guys want this thing just done and gone with as well. Trust me, I get it. This thing's been a crazy ride. I love seeing it come together. It's gonna look amazing when done, but man, this has been just something else, that's for sure. Like I said, now that the hard part's done, we're gonna be able to knock out all the little itty bitty things. I gotta paint something in there anyway, so we'll throw a couple pieces in and we'll get the hard top and all that done. Like I was saying, we should be able to actually knock this thing out pretty quick. And I've got a special delivery coming in March, so this thing literally cannot be apart for any longer than that, because when March comes around, this thing just needs to be done, and you guys will see. And there's lots coming, that's for sure. Other than that, guys, I'm pretty exhausted, and there you have it, really. There you have it. That's gonna do it. If you enjoyed this video, shoot a thumbs up. If you haven't been here before, please get down there, click subscribe, drop me a comment if you haven't already. Take care, and I will see you guys in the next one very soon. Unlike last time, very soon. This time I promise. Take care, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.